All right, Shalom. This is Brother Gabar. And before I hop into this lesson, first and foremost, I would like to give all praises to the Most High and their true Paleo-Hebrew names and in the Paleo-Hebrew tongue. So with that, I would like to say, Kal Halayim, Le Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Ha Rakah, Kodash, Ma'amaf. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS. Double honors to my elder as well, Aharawan, Banyasharala. All right, and Shalom to the Akim, the brothers, and the women and children that sincerely believe, man. All right. So as you can see, the title of this lesson is The King of Babylon, man. All right. And, the modern equivalent to a king, is the modern day president, the one that's rules and governs this land. All right. And you can see which exactly, modern day king I'm speaking of, him being on the screen. And I wanted to get some precepts, man, just to show how, man, this dude is moving like a modern day king, without regard, for anybody else, but his own desires, but just like all, wicked kings and their rulership, man, the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is going to tear him down, man, along with his kingdom, this place America. And Khan, I wanted to start with these precepts, and just for context, it's three soldiers, I believe, and they placed a wager on basically what has more strength. All right, and one soldier, he said wine, one soldier, he said women, and this soldier, he said a king, right? And then it goes into the power of a king. So without further ado, this is the book of First Esdras, chapter 4, and I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, Then the second that has spoken of the strength of the king began to say, O ye men, do not men excel in strength that bear rule over sea and land and all things in them? But yet the king is more mighty, for he is Lord of all these things and have dominion over them, and whatsoever he commandeth them they do. Right? And has not this modern day king, showcased dominion over the air and sea, right? Sending warships, to intercept sovereign independent countries, on the water, stealing their goods, right? Trillions of dollars of oil, so on and so forth, right? And also that dominion over the air, right? I just seen a video. This dude was riding a I don't know what they call it, like a little hoverboard, but they fly in the air. But before he could fly, he had to call the local airport or whatever it was and get permission, right? And to notify them that he was about to be flying. All right. That shows that, man, Esau has dominion over the air, man. Right. And also over the sea, the waters, because, man, there's certain like national parks and springs that you can go to, and even beaches, man, you have to pay to get into those beaches, man, or to get into those springs. All right. So, Esau, primarily the ones ruling this place, man, they have dominion over the sea, over the air. All right. And it says, verse 4, if he bid them make war, the one against the other, they do it. If he send them out against the enemies, they go and break down mountains, walls, and towers, man. Wherever this modern day king, right, the king of Babylon, I'm gonna just say that wherever the king of Babylon sends his troops, his military, right, man, they go and they make war against whatever people that this king of Babylon deems as an enemy, man, even if that's a false narrative that has been painted to consume that nation's resources, man. All right. It says they go and break down mountains, walls, and towers, man. All right, we have seen the king of Babylon's military do that, with their military might, with missiles, with Apache attack helicopters, and so on and so forth. All right. They just recently did it in Venezuela, man. He sent his troops and his military to go make war, right, with that said enemy, President Maduro of Venezuela, and so on and so forth. And you can see videos of missiles and Apache attack helicopters, tearing down walls and towers, houses and buildings, man, with their missiles. It says, they slay and are slain and transgress not the king's commandment. All right, man, they do whatever the king of Babylon says, man. And it says they slay and are slain. I remember, I believe it was during his first term. It was an interview, and the interviewer asked him about basically the police brutality against the people, primarily Jake, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And he simply said, "Put more hell on the people." All right. And those police officers, they transgressed not the king's commandment, because that's exactly what they went out there and did, man. They started putting more hell on the people. All right. Salakia says, if they get the victory, they bring all to the king, as well the spoil as all things else, man. All right. And again, recently in Venezuela, man, he sent those troops over there, right? Or that warship or whatever, and they seized that tanker, trillions of dollars of oil, right? And they brought it to the king. They brought the spoils unto the king, man. All right, he on doing interviews, bragging, "Oh yeah, that's our oil now." Come on, man. I'm gonna continue, and it says, likewise, for those that are no soldiers and have not to do with wars, but use husbandry, when they have reaped again that which they had sown, they bring it to the king and compel one another to pay tribute unto the king, man. Or in that husbandry, or that tribute that's being paid in these modern times, man, it's taxes. All right, because the average civilian, they're not soldiers, or so on and so forth, man. Man, we working 9 to 5s and so on and so forth, man. 40 hours a week, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, right? And that tribute that we pay unto the king are those taxes, man. And that's not even by choice. That's just taken from us, But again, just more evidence, man, that this is a modern king, man, the king of Babylon. And it says, and yet he is but one man. If he command to kill, they kill. If he command to spare, they spare, right? And we have seen that time and time and again, man, throughout America's history, right? In the different kings that have ruled this place, man. Modern day Babylon. And it says, if he command to smite, they smite. If he command to make desolate, they make desolate. If he command to build, they build. If he command to cut down, they cut down. If he command to plant, they plant, man. And it says, so all his people and his armies obey him. All right. Furthermore, he lieth down, he eateth, he drinketh, and taketh his rest. Okay, so that main part was in verse 10. So all his people and his armies obey him, man. All right. And we see that playing out on the earth right now, man. This king, the king of Babylon's militaries, his federal agents, that being ICE, right? And the police department, so on and so forth, man, they obey the king's commandments. All right, they do whatever this the king of Babylon commands and decrees and set forth within the earth. All right, so this so-called president, man, he has the power of a king. All right, but again, just like every wicked king and kingdom, that came up against the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua and the Lord's people, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the Lord has ultimately judged and destroyed them, man. All right, and history repeats itself. The scriptures say there's nothing new under the sun. So we're going to see that same thing happen to the king of Babylon and his kingdom, man, being America, modern day Babylon. All right. And with that, I'm hopping to the book of Isaiah. And this is the book of Isaiah. I'm going to get verse 4 to verse 6. It says, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. All right, because that's ultimately the end game, man. All right, this king of Babylon, right? This oppressing nation, right? Man, are going to cease. All right, man. The Lord is gonna, man, bring this place low. Man, the elder of the Lions Den camp just did a lesson on how America is now a third world country, man. All right. The so-called power and the might of this place is ceasing right before our very eyes, man. All right, it says, take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased, right? Oppressed the whole earth, but primarily the children of Israel, the Lord's chosen people. And it says the golden city ceased, all right, because America was once seen as that golden city, you know, the land of opportunity, the land of freedom, and so on and so forth. People came from all over the earth to get a piece of the American dream, you know, to take part, you know, in the golden city, right? But man, that spirit is gone now. People are seeing how corrupt and wicked, you know, this place really is. All right, it says the Lord have broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers, man. All right, and that's ultimately just means the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahshua is going to break the power and the dominion of this place, man. And it says, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindereth, man. All right. He that smote the people with a continual stroke. All right. The so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man, since we were brought over here on those slave ships, you know, the southern kingdoms, right? And since Esau's first contact with the northern kingdom, man, they have smote our people with a continual stroke. All right, meaning it was never ending, and to this day it's still never ending. We still getting that continual stroke, man. All right, of oppression, you know. And it says, he that ruled the nations in anger. So not only have they ruled over us and afflicted and oppressed us, you know, the children of Israel, they have ruled and oppressed these other nations as well, man. You know, these heathen nations. All right, it says, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindereth, because ultimately the tides are going to change, man. You know, the big bad wolf, you know, the bully is going to get bullied. You know, these other nations are, man, coming together, you know, speaking out publicly for their disapproval and disdain, you know, for this kingdom and its king. You know what I'm saying? And it's only a matter of time, you know, according to scripture and prophecies, before these other nations rise up and come against this place, man, you know, and ultimately destroy it as they are prophesied to do so, man. All right. And I want to get verse 9. It says, I want to just skip down to verse 9. So lucky, it says, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It have raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations, man. All right, and that's exactly what I was just saying, man. These other nations, right? You know, and these other kings of these other nations, right, man, they're rising up against this place so slowly but surely. All right, rising up, speaking their disdain and disapproval of this king and his kingdom's actions, man. All right, we literally watching prophecy just play out. All right, and again, man, these other nations are ultimately gonna destroy this place. All right, and this is the book of Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 9. It says, for lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country. All right, and this exactly, man, the Lord is raising up these different rulers and nations, right, to come up against Babylon. All right, Russia, China, North Korea, and so on and so forth, man. BRICS nations. All right, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, I believe. You know, these nations are rising up against Babylon, man. And it says, for lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. For thence she shall be taken. Their arrow shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. Salakia, man. So, man, it says, Salakia. For thence shall, dang. Salaki, man, I'm sorry at the top again. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations. All right, we see that happening. These other nations are rising up against America, modern day Babylon, and its king. And it says, from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her, man. They're setting themselves in array, meaning, together, right? Joining hands, per se, together against a common enemy, right? Which is, Babylon. And it says, their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. And those arrows that it's speaking of are nuclear missiles, man. All right. It says none shall return in vain. So once the Lord puts it on the minds and the hearts of these other nations and rulers to shoot those arrows, to shoot those missiles, man, it says they shall be as of a mighty expert man, right? So picture that a expert archer, that never misses his target. That's exactly how the Lord is going to cause those missiles to be shot over here, man. Every single missile is going to hit its target like an expert archer, firing arrows. That's exactly how those missiles are going to be shot off, man. They're going to perfectly hit their target each and every time, until this place is ultimately destroyed by 200 million of them, man. And it says none shall return in vain. That means every single missile, every single warhead is going to hit its target. All right. Precisely like an expert archer, man. Okay. And then with that, I'm going to jump down to verse 14. It says, Jeremiah 50:14, it says, put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. Man, these other nations are coming together and are going to surround this place. It says, all ye that bend the bow, shoot at her, right? All these nations that have nuclear capability, in the military might, right? All ye that bend the bow, right? Shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she have sinned against the Lord, man. So they're going to shoot those arrows, right? And it says spare no arrows, and that's where you get that 200 million, man. They're not gonna it's gonna be a complete denuclearization. I believe that's the word, man. Every single missile is gonna be shot at this place, man. All right. And it says, for she have sinned against the Lord, man. Through their philosophies, through the wickedness that they had spread throughout the whole earth, their idolatry, they false religions, the sodomy, the every sense of wickedness, that the king of the former kings and his current king, and their kingdom in totality, right, has pushed throughout the whole earth, man. All right, and ultimately afflicting the children of Israel, the apple of the Lord's eye. All right. Enslaving and oppressing the children of Israel, man. All right, they have sinned against the Lord. They have a judgment for that. All right. It says, shout against her round about. She have given her hand. Wait, so like, come on, yeah. Shout against her round about. She have given her hand. Her foundations are fallen. Her walls are thrown down. For it is the vengeance of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Take vengeance upon her as she have done, do unto her, man. All right. So that's literally, man, the Lord executing judgment on this place, right? On this kingdom, and its king. It says, man, shout against her round about. She have given her hand, meaning, man, this place is going to basically surrender, man, because it is going to be nothing that this kingdom can do to defend itself against all these nations on the earth coming up against it. All right. It says her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down. Man, that's literally the epitome of the falling of a city, man, the falling of a kingdom. All right. For it is the vengeance of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Take vengeance upon her, as she have done, do unto her. So every atrocity and act of violence and oppression, whatever the case may be, everything that this place, America, through its different rulers and kings, right, and this modern day king as well, everything that this place has done, it shall be done unto it. All right. Again, and that's the vengeance of the Lord, man. So this modern day king of Babylon, right, man, him and his kingdom is ultimately going to be destroyed, man. All right. And that's thus saith the Lord, thus saith the Holy Scriptures, man. We are literally watching prophecy just play out. All right, we are watching the Lord gradually tear this place down, man. You know, stripping it bare. You know, showing the world its wickedness, its atrocities. You know, its ugliness. Before he ultimately destroys it, man. You know. And Khan, man, that was just a quick lesson I wanted to do on this king of Babylon, man. You know, this modern king. You know, and you know, as you watch and pay attention to these different articles and these things that come out, that's literally how he's moving, man, like a king. And again, man, I just watched this video earlier today, and it was on a Persian king. I forgot his name. I want to say it was Xerxes. I could be mistaken. But the video was going into how he built the bridge, right, to cross this certain sea or something like that. And the Lord like stirred up the sea, destroyed all his ships. And that king commanded his army to whip the sea. Like literally whip the sea, man, like as punishment. And I just say that because that shows like the pride and arrogance of these wicked kings in their kingdoms, man. And after he commanded his troops to whip the sea, he rebuilt the bridge, right? And then, you know, they was able to cross over. But then a few months later, that same king who showed all of that pride and that arrogance, right, and ultimately wickedness, man, he was unalived. I don't remember how, but he was unalived, man. So it's just funny, man, because the Lord has the ultimate say so, man. You know, these people, man, they rule according to their own hearts and minds, but it's really the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua setting them up for judgment and destruction, you know. And come on, man, with that, I'm gonna say shalom.